Okay. Hello. I wanted to give you an update today and also share a bit more taboo-y stuff around mysticism, taboo for me having grown up Catholic. So, as you know, this is my grandma, Margarita. She passed away probably a decade now. And I never had much of a relationship with her. Like the time I did have with her, like your younger years, you teenager years or whatever, it's probably more than a decade. You don't really value life in the way of like, oh, you only have this much time with this person. So I wasn't really aware of that then. So it really took probably 10 to 15 years for me to honor that, oh wow, one of my grandmothers have passed. I no longer have access to her wisdom. I no longer have access to her physically. But for me, the more mystical side of it is being able, and when you're tapping into arts and stuff, it's like you get to create a channel to connect with people on the other side. So for that can be very taboo for some people. Some people are really scared of that stuff because it's like who's talking to you and stuff like that. And with that kind of stuff, if you're afraid of it, I would sit more with like what is the fear? Is it the fear of losing control? Is it the fear of not trusting yourself and your instincts? Because the more you're aligned with yourself, the easier it is to communicate with anybody. So anything that you're like afraid of in the spirit world, I guarantee you it's happening in the physical world. So if you're afraid of somebody like telling you something strange in the spirit world, then there's a chance that there's a part of you that's afraid of being manipulated within this world, but you're not acknowledging it. And it's manifesting through a fear of the spirit world so that you can gain a bit more clarity. It doesn't make you any less than or more than even than any other human. It's just pointing you at certain aspects of your humanity that you may have pushed aside just because like you wanted to get on by, get on to be a better version of yourself. Well, fuck that, because there at some point it's all perfect, it's all beautiful. So in the creation of this painting and following the feel, I'm a very feely person, a spiritual person, not just a human and an animal. I was following the feeling of it, and I really love the tonalities of outside. Like you can see the tonalities here, like with the black and white aspects of it, which you'll see in the one that in the video I made a couple days ago. And but that's also a reflection of the tonality in which like this emerged, like the ways that like my father, who never asks anything of me, asked me for this one thing in this house. He hasn't asked me of anything else. The one thing he asked was like, can you create a space, like use your art and create a mural with your family in it, with your grandma, and yeah, so I honored that. I honor when people don't ask me barely anything, and then when they do, I know it's coming from a place of sincerity. So that's a lot of the tonalities I've been noticing coming out with like the blacks and whites of this image and a lot of the family. And the thing I wanted to acknowledge with that is like sometimes we don't get a full chance to speak about the things we want to speak about with one another when we are alive at the same time. It doesn't mean that you need to let go of those feelings. What it means is like you can still have access to those feelings. You can still have those connections with those people by creating a sacred space to communicate with them. So part of being a medium, which I don't advertise too much because it opens when it opens. I don't force myself to go into spaces. But part of mediumship is listening, listening to the ancestry of what is wanting to be communicated and being part of this specific lineage, honoring those endings that may have been miscommunicated during being alive, just because everybody goes on their own thing here on planet Earth. But once they've passed, there's more of an ease to connect with, like, what were we looking at together that we may not have known while we were both alive. And in that, I feel way more connected to my grandma now in drawing this, in still drawing this. It's not complete yet. It's complete for now, and this, like, that's there. But I love how she's been giving me more insights on just like, we don't have to rush to a completion. We don't have to, in terms of like, we don't have to rush anywhere. It's all already unfolding. And it's in a way, she's giving me the sense of a reminder that it's okay. Like the parts that want to like come out now, like it's okay. Like they're there in the extent that they are, and that there's a whole fucking life for all of you to come out, right? And it's a very beautiful message that I wanted to share and bring people to the awareness that, like, take a moment to look at your own life and see, like, is there anything that you feel you haven't been able to gain a sense of closure, whether because the person passed or whether or not you feel like something wasn't shared when you were alive? Take a moment to utilize whatever methods that you can to honor that closing and give yourself that freedom to navigate those spaces mystically from a place of it's okay to have those connections outside of life. Like in death, there is still so many more things that can be communicated. And it's actually quite a beautiful thing for us as a culture to allow ourselves more access to. Like we don't have to push everything through life. There's actually so much that gets shared, maybe more, maybe less, who knows, mystery, that gets shared within the death of things as well, or like the death of the passing of a loved one. So I'm sure that was meant for somebody who needed to hear that. So lots of love. Feel free to follow. Feel free to just subscribe. I'm going to be playing with sharing processes of like mysticness and art and philosophies that kind of just stream through me all the time. And I'm like, I guess some people may want, some people may, I'm sure people will benefit from this. I don't see a lot of other artists sharing about like, oh yeah, I can talk to my dead grandma as I paint. So, and yeah, like I don't really have shame about it, but it's just more like, oh wait, yeah, the awareness that, oh, I'm sure other people want to have those connections too, and yeah, they're there. So lots of love. Ciao, blessings.